Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of WrestleZone, and today I am joined by your MCW Women's Champion and one half of your brand new OPW Women's Tag Team Champions, Eugenie. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am so good to be chatting with you because I've heard your name pop up a bunch and talking to my Australian friends. You seem to have a bunch of gold building in your collection, so I am so excited to be chatting with you on the other side of the Pacific Ocean.
Thank you. No, it's lovely to meet you, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to chat with you today.
Yeah, before we get into wrestling and all of that, I have to admit that I'm a little jealous because I've seen and noticed that you're a bit of a traveler. You've been to Norway, Italy, Denmark, of course, across Australia, I imagine Fiji as well. So I'm curious to know what has been the most beautiful place you have been to in your life so far.
Oh, wow. Good question. I might toss up between, I think, Fiji,
Of
being
course.
home,
Yeah.
and then one of my favorite cities would be Denmark
Ooh, okay.
or
Now,
Copenhagen.
yeah, now admittedly, like I've never been anywhere outside of the North America. So like I'm curious to know, tell me more about your travels to Denmark.
So I used to live in Norway at one point in my life. Yeah, that was really fun. And then Copenhagen is only like an hour flight from there, so it's a popular place to travel to. And became when I went there for the first time, just instantly it was somewhere that I really enjoyed being in the city. And their city is lovely, and the town, like just there's so many amazing things about Denmark and Copenhagen. So I traveled there a lot over the
Wow.
years.
That sounds so much fun. I'm curious, in Australia and Fiji, is it a big of a culture shock in comparison to Europe and all of that? Were you kind of like shocked by some of their, I guess, culture and traditions and like slang and mannerisms and stuff like that?
Yes, yes, definitely. I think there was definitely a bit of a difference in language, obviously, and then just way of life, mannerisms. Australians are very relaxed. Fijians are
Yeah.
even super more relaxed, and then Europe is just a little bit more. Um, I guess the best way they're just a bit more reserved.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was definitely a lot of it was a bit of a difference at a young age to be amongst.
I'm curious, what took you to Norway to live there for a little bit?
I initially had moved for love, and then and then I just set up my life there for a little bit, and then eventually moved back to Australia.
Yeah, so I mean, you've been back in Australia for how many years now?
I think it's been 6 years, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
COVID,
you Oh my God, so right before COVID.
just before COVID. Yeah,
Well, that's a good thing, or else I have to imagine you'd maybe be stuck in Norway or Europe for a while then.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm curious, in all your travels, would you consider yourself an adventurous person?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
So what would you say is the most adventurous or spontaneous thing that you've done while traveling? Or while I should say while away from home being Australia?
I think I actually enjoy traveling alone. So I don't mind, like, I would travel with, family and friends, but then probably the most adventurous stuff is really just leaving me in a city for a day and then allowing me to just walk about and explore and just enjoy cities. Yeah, sightsee, go about, seeing all the whatever tourist stuff there is, eating food. Yeah.
I'm curious, what has been some of the best non-Fijian and non-Australian food that I guess I should just say European. What has been the best European food that you've tried? Because you've been to Norway, Italy, Denmark, maybe something else I'm leaving out, but in Europe, what
Mm-hmm.
would you say is the best or favorite food that you remember having?
Hmm. Greece.
Ooh, okay.
I don't, to actually flash back a little bit and think about wherever I've traveled. But Greek food, oh, can't go wrong with that. It's oh, I'd happily eat as many times a day as I could until I can't walk. It's just too good.
I mean,
Euros.
yeah, European. I haven't had authentic Greek food. I'm a big fan of it, but never had the authentic kind. I have to imagine it's a whole different like specialty when it's genuine.
Yeah, yeah. This is something I think about having, like, especially Greek food because it's so good homemade.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's a whole nother level to then find really great local homemade food that you can eat there. So yeah, I remember just gyros, moussaka, the dips, and then I've been in like the Greek islands, so you have a lot of fresh seafood, and
Yeah.
yeah, well, list goes on.
It sounds amazing. Like it's almost it's gonna be like 11 p.m. here, but I could go for some Greek food right now. Oh my gosh, it sounds so
Oh,
good. It
yeah.
sounds so
Now I'm thinking
good.
about, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would like that too.
Same. I'm gonna have to book my flight after this. Now I'm curious, is there a destination that you want to go to that you haven't yet in your life?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think coming to America would be a place to that I, it's on my list.
Yeah.
Going to Hawaii or would be amazing. Um, I think those are definitely the two top ones that I can remember off the top of my list at this time.
Hawaii's,
Yeah,
I've heard, I've talked to Jessica Troy before. She's made the flights from Australia to the US, and I guess it's a thing where a few of them will stop in Hawaii for a couple days because it's kind of like a midway point. So that
yeah,
would be something like Hawaii could be a midway point for you, spend a couple days there and then hop aboard. I know flights are expensive, but that would be
yeah.
something that I've heard is exciting.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I've heard that as well because I think from Australia, especially when you fly to the US, like there's only certain places you can transit,
Yeah.
and being one. And yeah, I've got family there as well, so I'm just hoping one of these years the ducks line up and I have a chance to be able to go back or go there. Sorry, and
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah.
absolutely. We'd obviously
Mm.
love to have you on here too in our wrestling scene. I think you could bring a lot and also you get to enjoy I don't know how you're going to feel about our food because I mean as I'm sure you've heard we're a little bit more processed stuff um in comparison to a lot of other places you've been. But obviously we would love to have you and I'm so curious because obviously you're now a professional wrestler. You're also a scientist in real life, which is very impressive. But if you think back to the younger Eugenie, what did the little version of Eugenie envision herself doing a career when she got older? Was it science? Was it wrestling? Was it or was it something else?
I actually, as a kid, I always wanted to be a wrestler.
Hmm.
And then I was fortunate that I was pushed to have an education. So I'd also either was going to be a marine biologist or a lawyer. So I always dabbled between the three, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and
Well,
so yeah,
you have you have obviously the science route, but you went more agriculture science and biotechnology, I think it is. So a little bit
yes.
of science, but not exactly. So I'm curious then from that standpoint, what made you veer off from marine biology to like biotechnology and agriculture science?
So I initially was doing marine science when I
Okay.
first started university, and then I realized more so at the time that the job opportunities weren't
Ah,
all there.
mm-hmm.
And so then I sort of looked at it and I thought, okay, maybe let's move to environmental science and brought in our skill set and knowledge. And then once I sort of brought in that, then I realized, oh, actually, I like plant science and I like agriculture. So I'm going to maybe go towards like this side and then, yeah, natural resources. And it sort of just blossomed from there.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and obviously you seem to have a passion for science, or else you wouldn't pursue it, you know. If you think back to your core studies, whether it's related to your major program or not, what would you say is the most fun course or class that you took up during your time there?
Mm. I think I actually really enjoyed it, and it's so different, but I really enjoyed hydrology, which is like the science of water.
Okay.
Um, and then, yeah, geomorphology and meteorology, which was weather and climate. Um, just because it just made sense because you could see, you'd learn it and then you'd see it out there as soon as you
Yeah.
walk out of a building. Yeah.
Do you
So I
see
always found that
yourself
very
do you see yourself carrying like do you still see yourself like paying attention to the weather, like you know what's happening, what's gonna happen?
yeah, actually, occasionally I do, especially for
Yeah.
my job. I have to be full of the weather. So, yeah, some days it might be a matter of just looking out through the window, or yeah, always checking the weather forecast over here.
Yeah. What's the weather for you today over there in Queensland?
Actually, today's a bit humid.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a funny day. It's been a mixture of this morning was cloudy, and then it was raining while I was training. Then I've come home and it's nice and sunny, and then all of a sudden it's just the air's gotten it's become humid again. So yeah,
Oh yeah. You guys are on going into autumn, so I know it's
yeah,
different, but it seems to be like rainy season maybe coming up, cloudy season coming up. I mean, I don't know how your autumns are, but at least here they're typically like rainy and cloudy, I have to imagine.
yeah, no different, no different. Cyclone that we had I think a week ago definitely threw a spanner in the works.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh my God. Was it close to you? I hope not. Okay,
no,
that's good.
thankfully not. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, hopefully everybody's safe. You know, there's been a lot of natural disasters actually kind of all across the world in recent months. Luckily, everybody around you seems to be safe. Switching gears a little bit though, I want to take it back to last year because you had a pretty cool opportunity at EPW in Perth during Elimination Chamber weekend. You said you gained a lot of knowledge from the camp that they held there, especially with Damian Slater and Davis Storm kind of leading it. So tell us about
Mhm.
some of the takeaways from this camp. What did you learn being around them and a lot of Australian personalities I saw there.
Yeah, so many. It was such a cool experience to be in a room full of talent, so many talented wrestlers, and intelligent people. So I think when I sort of took away that week, I just realized how much space and like I already knew that I had a lot to do and develop and grow with, but like once I got there, it was I'd never done a camp up until that point. So doing
Ah,
5 days straight of that like level of knowledge and learning from somebody like Slates and Davis, they're just from just the stretching to the warm up to like, okay, this is what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn something about the heat, and then we're going to learn how to go about this and just funny things that I was doing at that point in wrestling. They're like, okay, but why are you doing that? Like, maybe you got to have you thought about, hey, what's the crowd going to
mhm.
experience? And I was like, oh. So yeah, I remember just coming. It was just an eye opening. It's just an eye opening experience, really. Hey.
Now you're based in Queensland. Was this your first kind of trip or work over in Perth?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, obviously I know you, a bunch of people I saw from Sydney and Melbourne and in all of that traveled over there as well. So how was it getting to know, I guess, the Perth community of wrestling as well, some new faces?
Yes. Yeah. Lots of new faces. They're a lovely bunch. Such a lovely bunch. Like it was so easy to come into a new place. Walk around and everybody's so friendly. So yeah, it wasn't too hard at all. I'd happily go back if I could.
Well, hopefully, I mean, there wasn't a camp, but we just had a Grand Slam. Australia, I believe, was in Brisbane, a little bit closer to home to you. Um,
Yeah.
there seem to be a lot more major events happening in Australia, so maybe that'll bring everybody back together again, or it could be like a yearly or bi-yearly thing. There was a lot of cool faces and an awesome opportunity, and I'm not sure if this was at the camp specifically or elsewhere, but I know I saw you met Rhea Ripley that weekend as well, former WWE Women's World Champion. Tell us about your
Yes.
interaction with her.
She's so lovely.
Yeah.
Just so lovely. It was just so easy going because at the time I was maybe, I don't know if I was walking out of that arena, but we just crossed paths at the same time. And at the like as a person, you're knowing that hey, people want to take a photo, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, do you bother her or not? And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try. And then yeah, and then I said hello, and yeah, she was lovely to talk to and so friendly.
Very down. I've met her a couple of times. Like I feel like, I mean, with all the success she's had, she still seems to like still be humble and like very nice and like personable. And I'm sure she seemed to be the same way with you, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, she very much gave like how she just felt like very down to earth.
Yeah, that's the right word to put it. And you attended, I believe you attended Elimination Chamber as well.
Yes, yes, I
Yes.
did. Yeah.
So how was it? I mean, you got to see her wrestle there as well, but tell us about being attending this big event in your home country.
I think that it was the perfect way to finish that week of training. And it was such an inspiring experience to be a part of, to see what we're doing on such a large scale, which, we already see it on TV and we
Yeah.
watch it, but just to be in it and to feel like the presence and the energy of the stadium and the just to see how great the wrestlers are. I think it was really just a big, yeah, took a lot of way back, took a lot back with me when I came home from it.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the shows I wish I was there to see. The crowd was electric. Obviously, you had Rhea in the main event defeating another Australian, Nia Jax, which we don't get to see too often, kind of Australian on Australian, on a major scale. So I have to imagine that was pretty cool to see too, as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think
Um,
so.
we were just talking about learning opportunities. I feel like you're constantly in a state of being able to learn from others around you, especially with culture. What
Yeah,
are some things you've learned from Moko and Toa?
so much, so much. Uh, Moko is, I think, one of the best wrestlers. I'm a bit biased, but one of the best wrestlers here in the state, and should be up there in the best within the country. I he's taught Toe and I so much. Spent a lot of time and hours with us, and so I think actually just learning how to be an overall good wrestler, and
Hmm.
obviously knowing that I still have a lot to learn and do.
Yes.
Uh, but just being able to learn from him, might have taken his finisher. Toe and I both might have taken his finisher. But also I've learned to tell a really good story as well from Moko. And with Toa, well, I've learned to relax a little as hard,
Yeah.
and to just remember to always enjoy the now and everything that we're going through in every experience and journey that is life and wrestling.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to imagine it's hard sometimes you can get lost, I feel like it, because you're trying to focus on this thing being sharp, this thing being good, playing to the like there's so many different elements in it that I mean, I just remember off the top of my head like Trish Stratus was talking about this. Like one of her biggest regrets was not being in the moment, like, in her early years. I feel like you're still trying to find your footing and you're focusing on a lot, but it is important to, take in those moments, soak in the crowd, like be present, and to also have
Yeah.
fun because when you're having fun, like you can just see, like I feel like that takes it up to an extra level. If you're having fun, like it just adds to it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's
Now,
so true.
elsewhere, I have to say you have formed another partnership, that being with Billy Mack. But it's interesting because you and Billy have history kind of as opponents, going against each other for titles all the time. Now you reign as
Yeah.
the OPW Women's Tag Team Champions. So tell us about this dynamic of now working with Billy.
Well, we are still figuring it out. We are
Yeah.
still working through it. We are both very dominant. And I think, we both have a lot that we bring to the table as wrestlers. So now learning, because we've been learning against each other, putting that
Yeah.
together, and using it together against our opponents is probably it's an awesome challenge in the sense of learning and growing as a wrestler. But then at the same time, yeah, we're working we're getting somewhere and we're working through it.
I feel like while maybe you might not have been on the same side, you're kind of familiar with each other's line of work at this point. So it's,
Yes.
I have to imagine at least it makes it a little bit easier working with each other. You're already familiar with each other's mannerisms and move sets. Now it's just, collaborating.
Yeah, it very much is the case. Very much is the case. She knows what I would do. I know what she would do.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, well, how do we put certain stuff together to make it more powerful, to use it as a team against our opponents? So, in some sense, becoming a tag team together does make a lot of sense and has been actually quite easy to do.
Well, I want to take it back to your crowning moment when you dethroned the Backslide girls who had been champs for about 10, 11 months at that point. How did
Yeah.
it feel winning the OPW Women's Tag Team? Again, only the second ever OPW Women's Tag Team champions at that. So how did it feel in your crowning moment?
I just remember being so happy. Uh, I remember just sort of just being like grateful but humbled by the experience because so much has happened in the last year for myself, and then just to look across and see like Billy Mack has made me a better wrestler, and entertainer, and so to be able to share that with her here in Queensland in our hometown was, yeah, it was a moment that kind of filled my wrestling cup back up as well, so big highlight.
You have certainly had a journey, you were out of wrestling for 2 years. Maybe that's what you were alluding to, and bouncing back from an ACL and an MCL injury. How is your knee like currently in its current state right now?
Really good. It's really
Okay.
good. I've worked very hard to get it back to where it is now. So I have a lot of I don't think about it. It's very it's at that point now.
That is good to hear because that and like a neck injury, I guess head injuries too as well, but like those are like the three big, I feel like most serious injuries in wrestling that could potentially be career ending, but you kept fighting and fighting to get back into it. So you should be so proud of that because that's not an injury that some people haven't come back from, you know?
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
so curious too, as you're kind of honing and crafting your identity, being back in action, what would you say are some of your sources of inspiration when you're crafting and envisioning your ring gear specifically?
Ah, ring gear. Beyonce knows.
I can see that. The sparkles, I can see that.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, Charlotte Flair.
The
I
queen.
think Queen, absolute Queen. Still trying to figure out how to get a great robe like as hers. So
Good
we'll
question.
see.
I don't know either.
I think those are like, yeah, I'll easily work off. Those were the two pinpoints for me. In when I've come back and started to wear a one piece, I was just, yeah, constantly going between those two, between like, okay, colorways and styles, and then okay, what fits my body? Like, what do I feel confident in? Yeah, and also, I think now more than ever, Tiffany Stratton as well.
She takes a lot of inspo, I mean, from pop culture. I mean, Sabrina Carpenter too as well. You take inspo from Beyonce. So like I can see that little like pop culture. I can see that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think any in general, I always keep my eye out for like great like entertainers wearing really beautiful or awesome costumes.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Are you a fan? I mean, I assume you have to be, but are you a fan of Beyonce's music as well? She's iconic. The
Yes. Yes, my simple answer is yes. I love Queen Bee.
Now, not to put you on the spot a little bit, but what would you say are your top three? I'll give you three to five, like Beyonce songs.
Ooh, um, good. I like Diva. I always
Oh, of
play that.
course, Diva is a female version of a hustler. Okay,
Yeah.
that was my first Beyonce album that I ever got. So yeah.
Ah, that was a good
Mm-hmm.
album. I think Irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trying to what was that song? Best You Never Had. I can't remember now.
The
I
best
like
time
that.
ever, what goes around comes back around. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. What's that? Three.
Yes, I said
So
three to five. So.
yes, okay. I do like her Jolene song, her cover of
Hmm.
Jolene. I'll happily play that on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She.
I don't know. Yeah. She has so many
Okay.
songs too. So
I
I'm like,
know.
which ones do I listen to all
I
the
mean,
time?
there's
Like,
Destiny. Where that's not even touching Destiny's Child yet.
oh, yeah. Yeah, Destiny's Child's a whole nother thing. Can listen
Mhm.
to Soldier, you know, Girl, all of those. I love that era. That
Good
was a great
one.
time too.
That's a good one. She's still doing it and being a mom too as well. Cool. Shout out to Beyonce.
Yeah, absolutely. Big inspiration.
I think her daughter's been like low key performing with her too. Didn't she just like perform with her at like I don't know if it was a Super Bowl or like some award show or something, but she was like performing and dancing with her. It was so
Yes.
that's how I feel old now too though, because I remember when she was born, but that's so cool.
Yeah, and she's like I'm not sure how old she is, but I'm assuming she's a teenager, so I get
Yeah, I
it.
think she's around 12, 13 maybe. Which is crazy. Like time flies.
Yeah, yeah. And she's so talented too. Like
Yeah.
when you watch her dancing,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely she's inherited some amazing genes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
Mm.
we were talking about ring gear. I would be remiss if I didn't mention your kind of signature neck chest piece that spells out your name, which you often sport. I'm curious, does that tie into your Fijian culture, or what is the story behind this neck slash chest piece that we see you wearing?
Yeah, it's pays homage and is a Fijian cultural piece. It's called a Salusalu. So yeah, I only bring it out on special occasions or like yeah, the big moments, because that's how we normally use it or wear it in my culture.
Mhm.
Mm.
Is it for like specific moments or is it just like I'm so curious, like in Fijian culture, like what is its significance there?
So I think the best way that I would describe it is when you have a big event and
Mhm.
ideally all eyes are on you to celebrate you, or there's something that's being brought up around you. So maybe your 16th birthday, or your 18th, or your
Okay.
21st, or your wedding, or some sort of homecoming of sorts. Those would be the ones that we'd bring it out and wear it,
So I'm
or graduation.
curious, then, what big events or milestones have you like specifically worn it for?
Ooh, so in my personal life, I had this made for me when I graduated from university. So I wore it then, and I think I wore it on my 21st birthday, if I remember correctly. And then yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to wear it a lot in the last year for big wrestling events.
Yeah.
Yeah. So otherwise, because I don't think I've had too many other big things that I've celebrated in my personal life where I've brought it out. So I've had
Hmm.
the opportunity to then yeah, because otherwise it sits in the cupboard with all the rest of the
Yeah,
Fijian
it's kind
cultural
of a
pieces.
sacred thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get that. Well, that's awesome. I mean, you've had three titles in the last year alone. So I mean that I have to imagine maybe bring it out for that or a win or a title defense. Those are definitely big moments. I'm curious too, you've definitely had a lot of obstacles in your way, but with obstacles, you learn from them and you grow from them. So I'm curious, how do you think you've grown as a person and as a competitor through your career thus far?
Hmm. I think uh, learning from your mistakes, holding yourself accountable, trying to be honest with yourself uh, is all a part of life. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. But the older I've gotten, the more I've learned that you need to practice a tiny bit of grace or apply some grace to yourself to, forgive if you've done anything that's
Yeah.
hard or, yeah. But at the same time, like only the individual knows how powerful and strong they are. So, learning to push past whatever it is that life's throwing at you, is necessary. But at the same time, remaining calm and kind to others where you can is important. So, yeah, I feel like those are my tools in my life, which I always try to apply through whatever obstacles I get thrown at. But no matter what happens, at the end of the day, when you walk through it and you come out the other side, I think realistically, I look at it all as, helping me to become a resilient person and adaptable through anything.
Absolutely. I guess as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But
Mm.
I feel like in such an inherently like selfish business, there's a lot of competition that maybe sometimes isn't healthy, but having that mindset, I feel like be kind. I mean, that's simple, but it's so true, especially like I said, in this selfish business, you know?
Yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, yeah. Sticking to your own lane, staying in your own lane.
That's another way
Um,
to put
you
it.
know,
Absolutely.
gets you can help you stay protected to yourself through it all,
Yeah.
and keeping good company around you as well.
Oh, a big support. I mean, especially like you said, those lows you mentioned, whether, I mean, physically, obviously your knee, but also the mental ones as well. Like it's
Yeah.
so important just in life in general, so then you can overcome them, like you said.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. When you can't pull yourself up, you've got the right support group network around you that can help, toe the line for you when you need it, and then vice versa.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now final question, as we're looking towards the future now, obviously we're always rooting for gold. I have to assume championship title defenses are in there. But what are some of your other personal and professional goals for 2025 and beyond?
I think keeping I this year how I go about it, I'm still figuring it out, but trying to level up from last year is definitely the goal. Um, and it carries through every other area of my life. So trying to improve, continually improve and get better as a wrestler and a performer, get out of my comfort zone is all a part of my, working towards my goals. More gold if it's there, but otherwise just making sure that I do what is necessary behind the scenes to become um, the best version of myself is pretty much, yeah, my goal.
Yeah, I mean,
And hopefully,
absolutely. Yeah, of course.
sorry.
Um, it's important to get yourself together behind the scenes, like you said, so then and continue honing your craft, especially bouncing back from some lows. And obviously, hopefully, you and Billy. I'm excited to see what challengers you might have lining up and how this dynamic is gonna go.
Yeah, same here. Same here. We've just had successfully defended our titles on the weekend against Color
Ah.
Knight and Xtina Cade.
Hmm.
Her and I both are going to get back in the ring together and, work on new stuff and see where we go and who we get to verse next. But it's all exciting.
Now, do you guys have an official team name yet, or is that kind of still in the works?
Still in the works. Still in
Okay.
the works. Yeah, people are throwing stuff at us and we're just trying to figure out. We're two very different people in two different names. So
Yeah.
trying to find the run is the yeah
Hmm.
work. Do
Yeah,
you have any?
I'm trying to off the top of my head. Mm, off the top of my head. I mean, like colliding your names. I mean, they are two different names. Maybe thinking about something that like your gimmick, or like your monikers, something. I mean, you're very like culture oriented. Like, hmm.
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you on that. Off the top of my head, my mind is blank. But that's definitely something to think of and
Yeah.
continue building that partnership, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Matching gear is
Mhm.
something on the horizon we have been considering. So,
That's a big
yes.
first step. Actually, your first
Yep.
step was your successful title defense. Matching gear is a great next step.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe there you'll find inspiration. Once you're kind of in your vibing together, maybe the ideas will flow then. Who knows?
Hopefully. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. Well, Eugenie, before we let you go, please let the listeners know where they can find you online and support you.
Thank you so much. You can find me on Instagram at e.ugenie and uh, X. I
Twitter
think
to
it's
me.
at Eugenie Pro. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still coming to terms. I haven't registered fully yet, so but at least I caught it out this time. Yeah, and that's where you can find me on X.
Well, Eugenie, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we obviously look forward to seeing what you and Billy come up with gear wise and name wise. Stay tuned on her social medias so you can get the first
Yes,
scoop on that.
yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.